Hi everyone, it's me Nita and welcome to my channel. In tonight's video, I'm going to be showing you guys from start to finish how I embroider on Minky fabric and create a baby blanket. I'm also going to be announcing my giveaway winners in this video, so make sure you stay tuned throughout the whole video because I'll be announcing who my YouTube winners are and who my Discord winners are. So I'm making this design for an Etsy order. So I cut my flannel fabric. I tend to use flannel because it's cheaper to get and it also doesn't shift as much when I sew. When I sew with cotton, I have a harder time working with cotton and Minky together. But I have this dinosaur flannel fabric. I got this at Joann's. And I mentioned this before as well in my videos. I like to get all my fabric in like bulk almost. So I try and wait till Joann's has like a $2.99, $3.99 deal on like their flannel fabric. And then I try and buy like 6 to like 12 yards at a time, just so I always have it on hand, so I don't always have to go to Joann's to try and get fabric for an order. So I cut my flannel fabric to 30 inches by 36 inches. For Minky fabric, I like to cut my fabric a little bit bigger than the back part of the blanket or the flannel fabric. So for the Minky fabric, I cut this to a 32 by 38. So these are the two fabrics that I'll be using. Now I offer 3 sizes in my Etsy shop. I offer a lovey size, which is a 15 inch by 18 inch. A lovey blanket is basically just like a tag blanket or a security blanket. It's not very big. It's basically just for a baby to hold and to play with and to like chew on. And then I offer a baby blanket size, which is a 30 inch by 36 inch blanket. And that's perfect just for like an infant, perfect like for the car seat or to do tummy time with. And then for a toddler size blanket, I offer a 32 by 52 inch blanket. Eventually, when I get a bigger embroidery machine, I want to offer bigger sizes because I also want to start offering embroidered blankets for adults too, especially for like people who just got married. I can do like a Mr. and Mrs. Or if someone likes a certain sports team or likes football, baseball, I can make like an adult size blanket for them. So eventually when I get a bigger machine, I want to start doing bigger blankets. But for now, I'm only offering those 3 sizes. Now, because I am doing embroidery and I'm also doing applique, I have this cotton fabric. I got this at Joann's. And to help add like extra stability, I do heat and bond on the back. Now when I lay this down to get it embroidered, I always take off like this white film. Don't forget to take that off. I've forgotten to take that off actually before. And then you want to make sure that you have like a bunch of different embroidery threads. You want to use 40 weight embroidery thread. I also use just 1 sheet of cutaway stabilizer. I think it's medium weight. So I first started out using tearaway stabilizer and then someone suggested that I use cutaway. And I ended up testing out cutaway and I'm never going back to tearaway stabilizer when working with Minky. This has worked out way better. My stitches look better and I've had less issues too. So definitely recommend cutaway stabilizer. You're also going to want washable or water soluble stabilizer, to go on top for the satin stitches because with the Minky fabric it is like a little bit furry. So when you do your satin stitches, a lot of times that fur will kind of just peek through those stitches and the stitches won't look as nice. So if you want clean stitches without any Minky fabric popping through, I definitely recommend using water soluble stabilizer. So I need to go add the name to this embroidery design, so let's go ahead and head over to my laptop now. Okay, so I use Sew Up Pro when doing my embroidery designs to be able to merge designs. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to open file and then I'm gonna go ahead and find the design that I need. So here's my design. I'm gonna go ahead and move it up where I need it to be positioned. And I don't really have to do any editing because I already edited this design and saved it how I like it. So now I'm gonna go over here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. Now I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna add my font. So I'm gonna go down and find the size font that I need. My computer's slow. Okay. So this is the Sweet Mia font that I use. I'm not using that one tonight. I'm using the pasta salad font. I found the font size that I needed. So I'm doing a 1.5 inch font. The name's Addie. So I think 1.5 inch should be good. And so now I'm going to highlight all the letters. I'm going to go to Tools and I'm going to Align Text. And I'm going to align bottom, so I'll align the letters. Okay, so there's the name. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight the name again, and I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to Join Threads. And I'm going to press Join All Adjacent Threads of the same color. So it'll know to stitch out the whole name as one piece. And I need to change the color of the name. Okay, so there is my finished design. Now I just need to save it onto my flash drive, and then I will be able to upload it to my PE800. Okay, so now I have my Minky fabric. I folded it in half the long way, or the hot dog way, as I would like to say. If you're a teacher, then you know what I'm talking about. But I folded it the long way in half because I'm going to use that as a divider for the middle. I'm going to take my water soluble ink pen now, and I'm going to just stick it in here and draw a line like that. I got this marker off Amazon. A lot of my supplies that I'm using will be linked down in the description below. So if you want to get any of these items that I use, you'll be able to find it in the description below. All right, so now that I have my line, now I'm going to hoop my blanket. Now you can float this. I have yet to try that. I'm going to try that eventually. I'm actually coming out with a video soon testing out the difference between hooping and floating Minky fabric, so stay tuned for that video. That's gonna be out very shortly. But now that I have my Minky fabric marked, I'm going to take my top portion of my hoop. So this is a 5x7 hoop. I'm going to put my grid on the top portion of the hoop, and I like to go up probably about 3 to 5 inches depending on where I want the design. I'm gonna go ahead and go up like 3 inches, basically like 4 or 5 rows of dots. I'm gonna line up my grid on the purple line that I drew. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but if you're able to see it, there's the purple line, and I'm just going to line up my hoop, making sure that there's like 3 or 4 rows of dots. And then I'm gonna take my stabilizer and put it right underneath, okay? And then I'm gonna take my bottom portion of my hoop, make sure it's opened all the way, or make sure that it's super loose. All right. Okay, and then now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it. Now I've had a few of you guys in the comments and on my Discord asked, how do you like prevent the Minky fabric from stretching? And I'm gonna show you right now the best technique that I do. So first I wanna make sure that my hoop is super tight because I don't want the Minky to cause the hoop to come undone while embroidering. So I'm gonna make sure that this hoop is super, super tight. Now you have your Minky fabric hooped, and you don't want it loose like this because it's not gonna stitch out right. So you don't want it loose at all. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to gently just pull the Minky fabric. Sorry for the weird noise in the background. My little Rocco, he's scratching his ear right now, and he's moaning all weird because it must feel good or whatever. But basically, anyways, I am pulling the Minky fabric, making sure to not distort or stretch out the little dots. Now that's how you can kind of tell that you're stretching out the fabric too much, is if the dots are too distorted. You basically just want to not be able to pinch the fabric at all. Like, you don't want it super loose, but you don't want it too tight. So I'm just making sure that I can't pinch the fabric, which I can't do anymore. And you still want to try and keep those dots in like their normal position. You don't want them to be all stretched out. I'm noticing right here in this corner, I need to pull this corner out a little bit, and this will be ready to go and get hooked up on the embroidery arm. Okay, so everything's all hooped. I like to double check and make sure that I don't have any of the Minky fabric underneath the hoop, just because there is a lot of fabric. So just always double check and make sure that there's no fabric underneath the hoop. I'm gonna go over here to my USB button, click that, and my design will load. I'm gonna use these little buttons right here and just go all the way over until I find, until I find my design. Click it, go to set, and I don't really need to adjust it or anything, but if you needed to, you can go ahead and move it, you can resize it, you can also rotate it. But I have my design already edited and ready to go, so I just press that and edit, and then now it's ready to embroider. So over here, it's gonna tell you all the different steps that it's going to take. So the first step for this is the tack down stitch. So I'm gonna lower my presser foot, and then it's green, means it's ready to go. And it's gonna do the outline stitch, so I know where to put my applique. Okay, now I'm going to lay down my applique fabric. Remember to take off this white piece off the back, and then you're just gonna lay it down over those stitches and press the green button again. Okay, so it's all done with the tack down stitch. Now you're going to lift up the presser foot and you're going to unhoop the design, or actually not unhoop it, but take it off the arm, and very gently you're going to use, I recommend using some curved Fiskars scissors, and you're just gonna cut the fabric along the stitches as close as you can without cutting the stitches. And then once you're done cutting all the excess fabric off, you could take this over to your iron and just iron this part, so it will stitch out nicely. You won't really have any bubbling. So that's all done. So now I'm going to rehoop it, making sure that there's no fabric underneath the hoop. You don't want it to get caught, so definitely make sure that you check that before you restart the machine. So now the machine's gonna do the satin stitches, so I'm gonna take this water-soluble stabilizer and lay that over the design, just like that. And over here, it's gonna show you what this part of the design it's gonna do next. So it's gonna do the outline of the dinosaur. So I have this color that I need to switch out the black for. While my machine continues to stitch out those designs, I'm gonna go ahead and go over my YouTube winners for the YouTube watching blanket, the $25 gift card, or for the fabric. Okay, so for the first prize, it's gonna be for the fabric bundle. Dama Jules, you are my winner, so if you can go ahead and message me on Discord, or you can message me on Instagram. But Dama Jules, you won the fabric bundle, so you can go ahead and send me your address so I can get that fabric out to you quick. The second winner is for the YouTube watching blanket. Latosha Thrift, you won the YouTube watching blanket, so make sure and message me on Discord or Instagram your address so I can get that out to you quick. And then for my $25 gift card, that's going to be for Esther Henry. So if you guys can go ahead and message me on Discord or on Instagram, just send me your address so I can get your prizes out to you quick. Now for my Discord, I decided to do a whole giveaway just for you guys. So I wanted to give you guys a double chance to win. Felisa, you have won the fabric bundle, so if you can message me on Discord, your address, I will get that out to you. For the gift card, Maurice, if you can message me, you won the $25 gift card. And then Debbie, if you can message me your address on Discord, I'll get you your YouTube watching blanket out to you ASAP. So let me go ahead and go over the winners one more time. Dame of Jules, you won the fabric. Esther, you won the gift card. And Latosha Thrift, you won the YouTube watching blanket. That's for my YouTube winners. And then for my Discord members, Felisa, you won the fabric bundle. Maurice, you won the gift card, and Debbie, you won the YouTube watching blanket. So don't forget, message me your address so I can get those prizes out to you soon. Okay guys, so I just want to show you my planner for the month. I still need to add in all the things that I'm doing. But one thing that helps me accomplish my goals is writing everything down. So for example, my goal for this month is to get 5,000 followers on YouTube. So I kind of wrote down how many followers I need to get each week to be able to get me where I want to be. By the 11th, I want 2,600. By the 18th, I want 3,600. By the 25th, I want to try and reach 4,600. And then hopefully by the end of the month, I'll be at 5K followers. I also wrote down a bunch of YouTube video ideas that I want to film for you guys. So I have a lot of YouTube videos planned. I also have my goals written up top. So I also, like I mentioned, I want to get 5,000 followers on YouTube for the month of January. And then on TikTok, I want to get 1,000 followers on TikTok, because once you get 1,000 followers on TikTok, you can go live. And I think that'd be kind of cool to be able to go live on my phone, because I can be at like Joann's or something and I can just randomly go live with you guys, and I think that'd be kind of cool. And then I have a surprise for you guys, another one. This one though, I'm not sure when I'll be able to tell you, but hopefully sometime this month I'll be able to tell you guys my surprise. I'm super, super excited about it. Hopefully everything works out so I can share it with you guys. So I just wanted to share with you guys, someone really nice on Discord messaged me and asked me if I wanted like all of their threads, because they were kind of clearing out the craft room, and this amazing person sent me so many different like embroidery threads, some really good threads too, like Madeira thread, and I just want to thank that person so much for sending me this. She also sent me a bunch of other goodies, but thank you so much. Like, you don't understand like how much this helps my embroidery business. Like, now I can save money on buying threads because you like literally gave me like every color that I could possibly need. But this saves me so much money, and this makes it to where I can invest my money into an embroidery machine. So because I don't have to go out and go buy a ton of embroidery thread, I could save that money and put that towards getting a Melco or getting a different type of a multi-needle embroidery machine. But thank you so much. You don't understand though, it really does. It helps my family and it helps my business out tremendously, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I honestly just want to thank all of you guys. The fact that I have 1,600 people watching my videos is insane to me. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for you guys watching my videos every time I post one, joining me during my lives and liking my videos, liking my lives. Like, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for you guys. So even though I'm not some big YouTuber yet and I don't make a ton of money from my small business yet, you guys are actually helping it almost become a reality. So again, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna try my best and put out as much content as I can for you guys. I'm gonna try and go live as much as I can for you guys. It is very hard trying to manage everything with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, and trying to manage a household as well. It's difficult, so I am gonna try my best and put out as much as I can for you guys. I wanna help motivate you guys because you guys help motivate me every single day. So I just want to give back to you guys. Also, my husband has been working really hard. He's trying to figure out the whole digitizing embroidery designs thing, and he's actually digitized a few, and I am going to test some of them out, and if they turn out okay, I am going to be giving away one free embroidery design a month, and then I'll also be selling some of the designs too. So definitely, if you want to get a free embroidery design made by Mr. Fajita, make sure to go to my website. It's called Nita and Thread Fabricshop.com. If you go to the link down below, if you go to that link and go to my fabric section on my website, and at the very bottom, you'll be able to join my mailing list, and then everyone that's on my mailing list will get an embroidery design once I test out the design and approve it. I'll be sending it out to anyone on my emailing list for free, and then I kind of want to make it like a monthly thing where I send out one free embroidery design to all my members on my email list. So if you're interested in that, make sure to go join my emailing list. And yeah, so the embroidery part of this whole baby blanket is done, so I'm gonna take it off the hoop. So here is the design. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just rip off this water soluble stabilizer and trim all the threads, look at the design, make sure everything's stitched out correctly before I unhoop it, because if there's some type of mess up, or if you see some like white stitches popping through, you can go back and go over that part of the design again. So if everything looks good, you'll then unhoop it and you'll cut the tearaway stabilizer around the whole design. And after I'm done with that, I'm gonna show you guys how I pin the blanket, and pinning is probably one of the most important part about working with Minky, because if you don't pin it really good, the fabric's going to shift and you're just basically gonna get a really wonky baby blanket. So I'm gonna show you that part next. Okay, so I cut off the stabilizer off the back, so I just have this left over, and then I cut off all the jump stitches, and then if you see any of the water soluble stabilizer left over, that's okay. At the very end, I'm gonna spritz it with water and use a towel, and that'll help get all the little tiny bits of water soluble stabilizer that's left over. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm gonna lay down my Minky blanket first, and then I'm going to have the fabric, and then I'm gonna have the back fabric on top. I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing right sides together. So I'm gonna do the Minky dots against the flannel design. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, as you guys can see, the flannel fabric is much smaller than the Minky fabric, and I wanted it to be that way because this is going to help with shifting, so you always want to make sure that your Minky fabric is larger than the other side of the blanket. So now I'm going to go ahead and start pinning the blanket. I tend to sometimes use both of these things of pins. Okay, so this is how close the pins should be. I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way around the whole blanket, and I'm gonna do a second row too, all the way around, and then in the middle I'm gonna do pins again that are about 1 to 2 inches apart, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second, but let me go ahead and pin the border really fast. So here are the pins on the very outside of the baby blanket. I put those right next to each other. The second row I did kind of spaced out a little bit, and then in the middle I did about probably like 3 inches apart in the middle of the baby blanket. And now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to make sure that when I'm sewing that I leave a big enough gap for my hand to be able to pull the blanket right side out. So make sure when you're sewing the perimeter of it that you leave an opening. Okay, so for my sewing machine, I'm using a Embroider Runway series, and typically when you're sewing with Minky, you want to use a walking foot, but my walking foot broke, so I'm just going to use this foot now until I get a new walking foot. And then for your settings, because I'm sewing with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I moved my settings over to 1, because this is a 1/4 inch foot, so I need to make sure that I move the needle over. So when sewing with Minky, you want to increase the stitch length. I set it up to 4 and then I leave this as 3.5. So I did the needles the wrong way. I was supposed to do the needles the other direction. So when you're sewing, make sure you do your needles the right way, because it's gonna be so hard to try and pull these out when I am sewing. So definitely make sure that you have your needles going the other way. Okay, so I have my foot lined up with my fabric. And again, I'm doing 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm gonna do that all the way around the whole blanket, just making sure that I stay on the flannel side of the fabric and not stitch onto the Minky. And then remember to leave a opening big enough for your hand to be able to fit through. Okay, so I cut off all the excess Minky around the edges. So now all I have to do is flip my blanket right sides out, and I always like to leave a little bit of leftover Minky. So when I sew the opening closed, it'll sew all the way and there won't be like any holes or anything. So I like to always leave a little bit of Minky left over, and now I'm just gonna pull my blanket through. I like to use a chopstick to poke the corners out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron down, I'm going to iron the blanket, making sure that I'm ironing on the cotton side or the flannel side, not the Minky side. You're not supposed to iron on Minky. So I'm going to iron the top of the blanket, making sure to get the edges of the blanket nice and crisp. Because that's going to help us when we are doing our final stitch around the border of the blanket. Alright guys, so don't judge me. I don't have an ironing board at the moment, so I just use my island as an ironing board. Okay, so now the blanket is all ironed. The edges are nice and lined up, and because I ironed the edges, that's going to kind of help keep the fabric nice and pressed so it doesn't move around and so it stays lined up. And then for the opening, I use these little tiny clips and I just clip the opening closed. And now I'm going to take this back to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance, just like I did the first time I sewed this. Okay, so I like to start sewing right before the opening, and then I like to sew the opening closed. And then I'm just gonna, again, like I said, do 1/4 inch seam allowance around the whole blanket. Okay, so I am all done sewing the blanket. Now I'm going to find that opening and I'm going to go ahead and trim off all those little extra threads. And I'm gonna make sure that that opening is completely closed because you don't want any of the Minky fabric to pop through or any of the flannel fabric to come undone. So I always like to double check the opening. And you can even do, because like look how open that is, I would actually take this back to the sewing machine and do like a really close stitch near the edge just to really make sure that that opening stays closed. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that to the sewing machine real quick and fix that. And now, since I'm all done with the blanket, I like to fold it up nicely for the customer. And there it is, it's all done. Now I do still see some water soluble stabilizer, so I'm gonna spritz it with some water and get a little towel and just kind of go over the design a little bit to get rid of any extra stabilizer left over. Okay, so that is the baby blanket. It's all done. Now I'm just gonna wrap it up and package it and it'll be on its way to its new home. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how I embroider and sew my baby blankets. This design is probably one of my most popular ones on Etsy. All my dinosaur designs on Etsy have actually sold quite well. So I actually have like 4 more other baby blanket orders that I have to do, so I'm going to do that in tomorrow's video. So make sure and stay tuned for that. But again, thank you guys for everything. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I would appreciate it if you would give it a like because that lets YouTube know to share with others. And then if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I am trying to reach 5,000 followers this month. We'll see if it's a little too ambitious. Hopefully it's not. But if you can help me out, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that notification bell. I'm trying my best to upload regularly. I do go live quite often too during the week, so I don't have a schedule yet for going live and for posting videos, but I'm trying my best to get on some type of schedule for you all. Hopefully this video was a little bit more in depth for you guys. If you want me to show you anything else regarding embroidery or sewing or anything to do with my Cricut, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to show you guys. I want to do a lot more tutorials for you, and I have a bunch of stuff planned for the future. So just make sure and hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss anything. But that is it for tonight. I will see you guys all next time. Bye.